Ryan, I would say, in my opinion, is plausibly the most guilty party of this entire thing.
Ryan Reynolds says Justin Baldoni can't sue him over hurt feelings.
Ryan Reynolds is facing a complete meltdown after getting canceled for allegedly bullying Justin Baldoni. And honestly, I didn't see this coming.
Actually, that Ryan is actually such a good guy that he kind of had to be a bad guy.
Between lawsuits, a satirical jab in Deadpool and Wolverine, and some messy allegations, it's hard not to wonder, has Ryan's sharp humor finally crossed the line? Ryan Reynolds versus Justin Baldoni, a feud so juicy you think it was scripted for a Hollywood blockbuster. But this is not a usual celebrity spat. This is a full-blown war of egos with Blake Lively, Reynolds' wife, right in the middle of it all. And if you thought Hollywood drama couldn't get Messier buckle up, because this saga has enough. Plot twist to rival a Game of Thrones finale.
Reynolds was a key player in the scheme, defaming Justin around Hollywood, strong-arming WME, their agency, into dropping Justin as a client and trying to destroy Justin's career however possible.
The Hollywood burn book is back, and it's juicier than ever. Justin Baldoni has decided that two can play this game counter, suing Ryan Reynolds and Blake Lively with allegations that they're out to obliterate his career. And by obliterate, we mean accusing him of everything from fat-shaming Lively to being a full-blown sexual predator. Reynolds allegedly even took it a step further by flexing his Hollywood clout to get Baldoni dropped by his agency, WME.
Yesterday, Ryan Reynolds filed a motion to dismiss. He wants to get out of Justin Baldoni's lawsuit in a filing that was riddled with character attacks and claims that he can't sue over hurt feelings.
But wait, it gets better. Reynolds' legal team hit back with the most savage defense that it's just their opinion. Apparently, in the court of law, free speech covers your right to express deep disdain for someone you genuinely believe is trash.
Basically, it's fine if I called him a predator if I believe it. It's fine. And the problem is, it's like, okay, so you're admitting then, essentially, that you have called him this.
Using his past life as an excuse, Reynolds camp is saying, how dare you sue us for $400 million when your entire career is built on bragging about being a reformed dirtbag?
What's going on here? What does he say? Why is he suing them?
It's a bold move weaponizing Baldwin's redemption arc against him. And if there were an Oscar for pettiness, Reynolds would already be polishing his trophy.
However, his attorney Brian Friedman has given some quotes to the press, and they were pretty scathing. I mean, you got to admit, the guy goes hard for his clients.
Of course, Baldoni's lawyer, Brian Friedman, came out swinging, accusing Reynolds of bullying and manipulation, lighting a metaphorical match and walking away like he's Deadpool in a slow-motion explosion scene.
Now here Friedman is quoted in TMZ. Let's look at what he said. Mr. Reynolds' exploitation of his enormous power in Hollywood continues, this time arrogantly asking to be dismissed from the case despite his publicly documented involvement extending far beyond just being a supportive spouse.
Friedman claims Reynolds' fingerprints are all over the so-called smear campaign, making him sound like some Hollywood mastermind pulling every string to destroy Baldwin's career. And as if things weren't chaotic enough, Baldoni is now gone after the New York Times. And Leslie Sloan, the publicist for Lively and Reynolds, yes, he's dragging everyone into this mess at this point. It's less a legal battle and more like a full-on Hollywood worthy. Only thing missing is a dramatic Netflix series to break it all down for us.
But Brian Friedman says Reynolds trying to skate is laughable because his fingerprints have been all over the smear campaign against Justin and the Wayfarer team since day one.
Now, the picture Friedman is painting somehow looks like Reynolds sipping his own aviation gin, plotting in some secret lair decorated with Marvel merch, orchestrating Baldwin's downfall. Really the same guy who spends most of his time cracking jokes online and promoting his businesses. Apparently, he's now the villain in Baldwin's story. It's so over the top, it almost feels like satire. But no, this is real, and it's getting messier by the minute.
He adds, after lighting a match, Mr. Reynolds now seeks to run from the flames. It won't work.
Friedman didn't hold back, accusing Reynolds of setting the entire feud ablaze and then bolting from the scene like a Hollywood action hero escaping a CGI explosion. He claimed Reynolds is dodging accountability at every turn more focused on maintaining his charming public persona than addressing the alleged harm caused according to Friedman. This isn't just a case of hurt feelings, but a full-scale campaign to smear Baldwin's reputation. One Reynolds is now trying to downplay as harmless banter.
Friedman says Reynolds trying to skate is laughable because his fingerprints have been all over the smear campaign against Justin and the Wayfarer team since day one.
In Friedman's view, Reynolds isn't facing the fire, he's stoking it, while pretending to be above it all. The lawyer made it clear that no amount of sarcastic legal filings or Marvel-level charisma would erase the alleged damage done to Friedman. Has anything to say about it, Reynolds won't be escaping this drama unscathed. Let's talk about what's at stake here first. We got Ryan Reynolds, the king of snark, the man who built an empire with his razor-sharp wit and devil-may-care attitude. His Deadpool franchise is practically a shrine to his brand of irreverence.
I want men, first of all, I want men to stop asking the question, why do women stay?
Yeah.
Right? I want men to take accountability. I want men to hold other men accountable.
Then there's Justin Baldoni, the self-proclaimed woke feminist, a man who's carved out a niche for himself directing films with a socially conscious twist. Like It Ends With Us on paper, these two couldn't be more different. One's cracking jokes about chimichangas, the other is delivering TED Talks on masculinity. And yet here we are watching them go head-to-head in one of the most bizarre Hollywood feuds of our time.
As we reported, Ryan filed the dismissal docs Tuesday, calling Justin thin-skinned for complaining that so-called nice pool character from Deadpool and Wolverine was mocking him.
So how did we get here? It all started when Reynolds decided to introduce a character named Nice in Deadpool, and Wolverine, a painfully obvious caricature of Baldoni.
And then they say, well, even doing that, he's just thin-skinned for complaining about it.
Now, Reynolds' legal team has all but admitted that Baldoni inspired Nispolo, but their defense, Baldwin is just too sensitive thin. Skin outrage, they called it. That's like telling someone they're too fragile to handle your brilliance. Bold move, Reynolds.
No, it wasn't just the so-called. He confirms. They say they don't dispute that the character was based off of Justin Baldoni. It was essentially Justin Baldoni. And so Ryan Reynolds admits this.
But let's not kid ourselves. When your satire targets a real person, it stops being about the art and starts looking a lot like bullying. Reynolds, of course, dismisses this notion entirely. After all, he's Deadpool. Nothing is off limits in the name of comedy, right?
Reynolds, who is married to Blake Lively, was accused in the lawsuit of mocking and bullying Baldoni by using the character of Nice Pool in Deadpool and Wolverine to satirize Baldoni's woke feminist image.
And then there's a whole nice mess. Imagine watching one of the year's biggest movies and realizing a character is clearly based on you, except it's not flattering. That's exactly what happened to Baldoni when Reynolds created Nissel, a parody that poked fun at his woke feminist image. This wasn't just a light joke. It was a full-on roast with Baldwin's carefully crafted public persona turned into a punchline for millions to see for Baldoni. This felt like more than just comedy. It felt like a personal attack. He's built his brand around being a role model for modern masculinity. And now he was being mocked on a global stage. To him, this wasn't satire. It was humiliation. And so he hit back with a lawsuit accusing Reynolds of crossing the line from humor into harassment.
All hell broke loose. She claims he sexual harassed her. And then by the time they premiered the movie, they weren't even speaking to each other. She made him stay in the basement, and Ryan Reynolds turned on him too. And then she claimed that he unleashed a bad PR campaign against her.
Let's talk about Lively for a moment as Reynolds' wife and Baldwin's co-star. She's smack in the middle of this mess, and she's not holding back. Her accusations against Baldwin aren't just about inappropriate behavior. They go deeper.
She's brought the suit, and he's got to defend himself. And there's some very serious allegations being made against him and Wayfarer for harassment.
She's claimed he orchestrated a smear campaign against her using his publicist to spread nasty rumors after the film's release. If true, it's a calculated move that paints Baldoni in a very different light than progressive feminist image he tries to project. But here's the kicker. Reynolds' defense of Lively doesn't exactly feel selfless. Sure, he's standing by his wife, as any husband should, but in doing So he's also bolstering his own case against Baldoni. Two birds, one stone, right?
And it was Ryan who had called this shot, that it was very obvious now that we know his brand of narcissism. I feel like we all deserve like PhDs in psychology by the end of this.
Now, the public is left to choose sides, and let's be honest, it's not an easy choice. On one hand, you got Reynolds, the snarky anti-hero, who's made a career out of roasting everyone and everything. On the other, there's Baldoni, the earnest feminist, who's now being accused of hypocrisy on a massive scale. And then there's Lively, whose allegations have added an entirely new layer of complexity to this already messy feud.
100% Ryan was the one who put this line in here. Not SNL, not Tina Fey, not Blake Lively, but Ryan.
Is Reynolds a villain here using his platform to bully a fellow actor under the guise of comedy? Or is Baldoni the one hiding behind a carefully curated image, now exposed as the aggressor?
Pulling quotations from a 2017 article as the opening to everything.
Let's dive into the real fireworks of this Hollywood drama. The moment Blake Lively dropped accusations against Justin Baldoni, like a plot twist in the third act of a thriller. You thought this was just about a parody character in a superhero movie. Think again. Lively's explosive claims took this feud from a low simmer to a full-on rolling boil. And the fallout has been nothing short of spectacular.
So negative press swirled around her during this whole, like a month, right? Later, she would describe this as though it was the pile-on against Trump. Honestly, it's like most of us, especially in Republican politics or the news, this is called Tuesday for us.
So here's the T. Blake Lively, queen of glam and sarcasm herself, accused Baldoni of sexual harassment on the set. It ends with us. Yes, you heard that right, the very same Baldoni, who prides himself on being a feminist champion. According to Lively, his behavior wasn't just inappropriate, it was outright predatory. And if that wasn't enough to send Hollywood's rumor mill into overdrive, she added another juicy layer. Baldoni allegedly used his PR team to smear her reputation after the movie's release. That's right, he didn't just harass her allegedly. He also showed the world her true face.
Reynolds' exploitation of his enormous power in Hollywood continues. This time, arrogantly asking to be dismissed from the case despite his publicly documented involvement, extending far beyond just being a supportive spouse.
Now, let's not pretend this didn't add a nuclear element to the ongoing Reynolds versus Baldoni feud. With his wife's name dragged to the mud, Reynolds wasn't just defending his satire anymore. He was on a warpath. And really, who could blame him if someone was allegedly harassing your spouse and launching a smear campaign against them? You'd be sharpening your verbal daggers.
Hollywood power couple Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds and actor and director Justin Baldoni. The plot of this lawsuit is actually more interesting, I believe, than the film that they made.
But hold on, this is Hollywood, where nothing is ever as simple as it seems. The timing of Lively's accusations has raised more than a few eyebrows. Why now? Why right after Baldoni filed his lawsuit against Reynolds? Is this a strategic counterattack designed to undermine Baldwin's credibility? Or is it a case of Lively finally deciding she's had enough? The waters are murky, and everyone's got their theories. Some say it's a classic case of tit for tat. Others argue it's a genuine grievance finally coming to light.
Ryan, I would say, in my opinion, is plausibly the most guilty party of this entire thing, okay? He has just been publicly humiliating Justin Baldoni.
And then there's Nice Pool, the character that kicked off this entire circus. If Deadpool is the king of savage humor, Nice Pool is his overly earnest, painfully woke little brother. And the not-so-subtle caricature of Justin Baldoni, Reynolds' legal team, hasn't even bothered to deny it yet. They've all but admitted Baldoni inspired Nice. But their defense, Baldwin's just overreacting, thin-skinned outrage, they called it.
He has just been publicly humiliating Justin Baldoni as soon as he could, as many times as he could, and using as many A-list actors as he could.
Here's the thing, satire is supposed to punch upright, but when you're a Hollywood A-lister using a multi-million-dollar platform to mock another industry peer, is it still punching up? Or is it just plain mean-spirited Reynolds might call artistic freedom? But critics are calling a weaponized platform, and they're not wrong. When your art targets someone. So directly, it's not just comedy, it's an attack.
the reason why the character is successful. It's actually him. And what better way to become successful than really just playing yourself?
What's even more telling is the language Reynolds' team used in their motion to dismiss Baldwin's lawsuit-thin-skinned outrage. That's not just a legal argument. It's a full-on dismissal of Baldwin's feelings. But isn't that the classic defense of every bully ever? It's just a joke. Sure, it's funny if you're not the one being mocked in front of millions of people.
Telling me you creating this character in this Disney Marvel superhero movie where you mock him, threaten him, tease him, make fun of him, and then ultimately kill him?
And let's not forget the power dynamics at play here. Reynolds is Deadpool, a cultural juggernaut. Baldoni, while successful, doesn't wield the same kind of influence. Mocking him in a blockbuster film feels less like playful ribbing and more like a heavyweight boxer taking a swing at a featherweight. But perhaps the most ironic part of all this is that the feud itself has only amplified the spotlight on both men. Baldwin's lawsuit and Lively's allegations have turned what could have been a forgettable parody into a full-blown controversy, and Reynolds, who thrives on controversy, seems more than happy to play the villain in this narrative.
It's just a joke. You don't get it? You're thin-skinned if you're upset about it. That is how insane this is.
Ryan Reynolds didn't just roll into court with a legal motion. He came armed with a verbal flamethrower. Let's break it down in his effort to shut down Justin Baldoni's claims. Reynolds dismissed them as nothing more than hurt feelings. That's not just a legal argument. That's a mic drop with a side of shade.
Are real, and they are serious. Mr. Reynolds can appear on as many sketch shows as he wants and feebly try to make light of his current situation, but we will not stop until he is held accountable for his actions.
Reynolds' team went Allen, leaning hard on the defense of free speech. They argued that calling someone a predator or, creating a satirical caricature of their entire personality in a blockbuster film is totally within the bounds of the First Amendment. And while they didn't exactly deny that Mpul was a jab at Baldoni, they waved it off as harmless fun. But that fun part has now put his job at risk and the real battlefield. Here is the internet forget legal proceedings to court of public. Opinion is where the verdict actually matters. And let's just say it's not looking great for Reynolds. Right now, fans have been flocking to Baldwin's defense, calling Reynolds out for his behavior both on and off the screen. Turns out that even Deadpool can't snark his way out of everything.
I felt like it was very aggressive. I agree. And I can't fault somebody for wanting to stick up for their partner. But there were parts of it as I was reading it, I couldn't help but feel like it was a bit petty.
The biggest question hanging over this mess is whether Reynolds' fierce defense of his wife Blake Lively is helping or hurting his image. On one hand, it's admirable who wouldn't stand up for their partner. But on the other, this is the Me Too era and weaponizing satire against someone like Baldoni, who has branded himself as a feminist ally, feels dicey. And if there's one thing the internet loves more than a feud, it's digging up receipts. Clips of Reynolds making eyebrow-raising comments in past. Interviews have been making the rounds online, adding fuel to the fire. Meanwhile, Baldwin's carefully curated image as a reformed man is giving the upper hand. But let's not forget public opinion is a fickle beast. One wrong move from Baldoni or one perfectly timed tweet from Reynolds, and the tide could turn faster than you can say. Nice pool here's where things get really messy. Both Reynolds and Baldoni have built their careers on preaching certain values only to now be embroiled in one of the pettiest Hollywood feuds we've seen in a while. Reynolds has been loud and clear in accusing Baldwin of hiding behind a woke feminist facade, essentially calling him meow for performative activism. And hey, that might sting a little more coming from someone who's built their career on being brutally honest. But does that give Reynolds a free pass to satirize baloney? So directly, probably not.
All hell broke loose. She claims he sexual harassed her, and then by the time they premiered the movie, they weren't even speaking to each other. She made him stay in the basement, and Ryan Reynolds turned on him too. And then she claimed that he unleashed a bad PR campaign against her.
And what about Blake Lively's role in all of this? Is she just an innocent victim standing up for herself in the face of harassment? Or is she a power player strategically timing her allegations to support her husband's case? Depending on whom you ask, she's either the heroine of the saga or its most calculated participant. But the bigger question here is what this feud says about Hollywood as a whole. Reynolds and Baldwin might be fighting for their reputations, but in doing so, they're exposing the very hypocrisy they claim to detest. This is now more than just a story about two actors that wore the spotlight on Hollywood's ongoing struggle with bullying accountability and the messy intersection of art and personal vendettas. And honestly, we're all just here for the drama past the popcorn. All right, folks, let's talk about what could be lurking around the corner for Ryan Reynolds, Justin Baldoni, and this Hollywood soap opera that just keeps giving Reynolds motion to dismiss Baldwin's lawsuit is. The immediate focus, and let's be real, it's a high-stakes game of whose ego will blink first. So there you have a Messier Hollywood feud than a bad rom-com, scripted like, and subscribe to the channel so you won't miss any twists of this drama.